You're going to learn how to speak clearly and confidently by designing your message with logical main points. If you're following along, this is part 3 in a 5-part series on speaking clearly and confidently. Here's the bottom line for this video. Clear and confident speakers communicate in logical main points or talking points. In other words, they communicate in an orderly fashion. For these tips, I'm going to assume you're in a professional situation, like a team meeting. You could use these tips to prepare a message or as part of a Q&A in a group situation. So picture yourself talking in a group for these tips. Tip 1, the easiest way to add a sense of logic and structure to your message is to give a brief preview and then number your main points aloud. For example, you might say you wanted to talk about 3 important steps. First, let's look for a way to boost revenue. Second, we'll explore how to cut costs. And third, we must reach new customers. My previous statement there was simply to say I want to talk about 3 important steps. Listeners now know that you have 3 points, and then you'd number your points as you say them. When you say first, second, and third, these are called signposts. You are numbering your points to make it easier for your listeners to hear the logic and structure of your message. That adds a lot of clarity to what you've said. But you'll notice that it also makes you sound incredibly confident in what you're saying. You sound like you've thought about this and you know what you're talking about. In contrast, if you don't literally say first, second, and third when you get to those points, your listeners won't hear that extra clarity. It could sound to them like you're just listing random items. But by adding those signposts, first, second, third, you sound more prepared and credible. I'll do another example, and on this first version, I won't use a preview or signposts, and then I'll redo it by adding those elements. And you tell me which one sounds more clear and confident. Picture yourself saying each of these in a group meeting. Here's the first example. Let's identify other departments we could work with. We'll meet with them to discuss our idea, and we can collaborate to draft a proposal. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's already clear as it is, but listen to the difference when I say it with a preview and signposts. I see 3 next steps for this project. First, let's identify other departments we could work with. Second, we'll meet with them to discuss our idea. And third, we can collaborate to draft a proposal. Both of these are passable messages, but most people would agree that the second example has that extra edge that makes it sound more like leadership. Adding a preview and signposts makes the message sound official. As The Rock used to say, if you're picking up what I'm throwing down in this series, I encourage you to find out more about my Communication Coach Academy. We have over 20 classes and we offer live group coaching on top of that. There's also a page full of entirely free resources and a free class on the top 5 essential communication skills for professionals. I'll put links to that and other resources in the description below the video. Tip number 2. If you have a persuasive message, use the problem, solution, benefits main points. In professional situations, we are often asking our colleagues, supervisors, or clients for something at the end of our message. We call this an ask, a call to action, or a CTA. Every couple of weeks, we're asking for funding, support, or collaborative help. When we do, we must build a case and persuade people to join our cause. When you're sharing that type of message, the best way to organize your main points is in problem, solution, benefit order. It works the same as the first, second, third signpost we talked about, except instead of filling in first, second, and third points with whatever topics you're talking about, you're going to fill them in with the problem you're there to talk about or the need, the solution or your plan, and the benefits. It must be in that order to be an effective, persuasive message. Here's an example of a message about asking your supervisor or team to hire an additional person for an important upcoming project. First, as you know, our key issue is that we lost a couple of people last quarter and we're heading into our next project shorthanded. Second, because of this, I recommend we hire at least one additional person who can help us with the instructional design aspects of our project. Third, the upside of this is it will free up the rest of us to increase the quality of our work because we're not trying to pull double duty. A couple of pointers on this message. You could use the actual keywords problem, solution, and benefit to express your message, or you can substitute words that mean almost the same thing like I did. For example, I used the word issue, recommend, and upside instead of problem, solution, benefit. There are a few ways to communicate the same logical structure. If you want to say issues, obstacles, trouble, or hang-ups instead of using the actual word problem, that's up to you. If you want to use words like plan, recommendation, or suggestion rather than the word solution, those are great substitutes. You can use whatever words fit your message best. Just be sure you're structuring your message around a foundation of problem, solution, benefits in that order, and you use some unmistakable keywords to signal those 3 points. I'd also like to point out here that I use signposts for each of those points. I said first, second, and third, in addition to saying issue, recommend, and upside. I almost always recommend using signposts. When in doubt, use signposts. They usually help and they never hurt. But in some cases, using a signpost is not necessary if your keywords are crystal clear. Tip number 3 is a variation on a persuasive message design. For some messages, 3 points structured around problem, cause, solution may be a better fit for your message than problem, solution, benefit. And there are really no ways to tell ahead of time which design is best in your particular situation for your message and your audience. That choice is up to you. But in my experience working with my clients, I find that problem, cause, solution, main points tend to work really well with an internal audience, like your team or perhaps your supervisor. Most of my clients agree that problem, solution, benefits, main points work equally well with either an internal audience, like those people that I just mentioned, or an external audience, like a potential client. Here's an example of what problem, cause, solution, main points sound like for a brief message. And for the sake of variety, I will not use signposts in this example so you can see how it sounds just with the key words. Our biggest problem currently is that we have been losing more clients because of attrition than we thought we would. The cause of this has been the lack of a coherent onboarding and orientation process for new clients. The solution I recommend is to create a new onboarding process that includes a balance of face-to-face interaction and email follow-up in equal measure. Some people I've worked with are hesitant to use keywords that are as deliberate as problem, cause, solution. Like before, you can substitute other keywords and phrases for these. Just make sure your keywords stand out and are unmistakable so your listeners know exactly what point you're on. There are other ways to design your message around logical points, but these are the top 3 ways that you've probably already heard in most professional settings. If you can learn to speak like this and make it a habit, you'll sound 10 times more clear and confident for every important message you share. I quoted The Rock earlier, and I'm going to quote him again. If you smell what I'm cooking in this series and want to find out more about my Communication Coach Academy, then take a look at all the links in the expandable description below this video. There are free resources there, as always, on the site. And I look forward to hearing your point of view on this video in that comment section below. Until next time, thanks, God bless, and I'll see you soon.